I'm taking you inside a client's Google Ads account today to show you a Google search ad campaign which generates roughly $500,000 per month in revenue entirely to cold traffic. And what you want to understand is this e-commerce brand sells specific type of bed sheets. I've already made a big case study on this brand, both on the Google Ads side of things as the Bing Ad side of things, which you can check out on my channel. But the average order value for this brand is roughly $220. So in no way is this product a low ticket item, but it does ship worldwide. However, this Google search ad campaign, which we will be going over, essentially was targeting just one main country, which is the United States. But what I want to start off with is talking about the entire approach and strategy of how we even came up with this Google search ad campaign. So if we go inside, first and foremost, let's check out a little bit of the data. It has been running for quite some time now. It started back in 2023. However, once we started working with this brand, which was around this time range right here, is when things really took off. And this is because we changed the entire approach of how this brand was running this Google search campaign. Now, the main goal of this Google search campaign, which we came with, was that we wanted to make this a cold traffic based search campaign only. This brand was strictly against going after just branded traffic or retargeting because it already had found a lot of success with branding campaigns that were not prior to us entering, and they did not want to waste any more money on branded. So essentially what we did is we took out a lot of the major keywords which were related to the brand itself and basically paused all of those ad groups to only focus on the basic search terms which were for the broader keywords. And what we wanted to do was a little bit something that was a bit interesting. We wanted to go after the home page as well as after the specific collection page. So if we look right here, for each of these specific ad groups, there's one ad going after just the home page and another ad group going after the collection pages. The reason why we wanted to start with this approach was this brand does not sell too many different products. It sells one major SKU with multiple different variations and sizes. So it was a bit easier to have this done. But essentially, we wanted to take a very simple approach without going too in depth into things like dynamic search campaigns or having a bunch of different landing pages going on for this product. So essentially, what we first did in order to set up this campaign properly with the right strategy is we started by doing a little bit of keyword research. Now, what most brands do for keyword research is they go into the keyword planner tool, they'll type in some major keyword, and then they'll start doing research that way to insert within their search campaigns. But what we did is the complete opposite. Instead of using some random generic data from the keyword planner tool, we actually went into the all campaigns section. And because this brand had been running ads for about a year before we entered, we were able to utilize the auction insights section to get a handful of the keywords which we could actually look into using for this search campaign. So when we first started the strategy, what we did is essentially we looked at the last 28 days worth of data, scrolled all the way down to this keyword section, and we wanted to figure out what were the top 50 to 100 different keywords which were generating the most amounts of sales, and that too at the lowest cost per acquisition. So all we did was we just scrolled through all of these different keywords, opened up these lists, and just tried to understand by clicking on details as well how these keywords were originally performing and what their overall CTRs were, what was basically generating the highest conversion value, so on and so forth. So on a very strategic single keyword level, we were able to derive all of this data. We also wanted to make sure that the keywords that we wanted to use had a high levels of impressions that were actually increasing over time. So you see right here, Google does a great job of telling you what's increasing, what's not increasing, what the CTRs are, conversion rates, etc. So that's what we looked at in order to come up with these major keywords. But once that had been done, once we had figured out the major keywords, we kind of segregated them out based on subcategories. So it's just the same approach as what we would do for shopping and Performance Max, which, by the way, this approach is also the same one we use for a lot of the brands we work with under my agency, which if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the very next level with Google Ads. Go on to my website at yourmarketing.com, schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But initially, what we did is we segregated out these keywords based on two different match types, exact match and phrase match. That's literally it. We wanted to keep things based around these two match types because we don't want to go and give Google too much control with broad match and just go after anything and everything under the sun, nor did we want to narrow the overall targeting too much by going just after exact match, because with exact match, as you can see right here, it will generally lead you to the most amount of sales. However, if you don't have any types of phrase match going on within the actual search campaign, it's going to be very limiting for your search keywords, and it's going to make it difficult for your search keywords to actually get more data long term. So that's what we wanted to avoid. But at the end, as you see, most of the exact match keywords are the ones that get the most sales. There are a few phrase matches in between which do pretty well, but the main job and the main focus with these phrase match keywords is to just feed the algorithm more data for more bigger keywords, so we can then add those keywords which are starting to win as exact match in the future. But essentially, once these keywords were optimized, once we really started running this campaign strategy, all we did was just let it run. We did not want to touch it for the first 2 to 4 weeks, because with search campaigns, it takes a lot longer to optimize compared to shopping and performance max campaign. So September and October, as you can see, the return on ad spend was really not the best. It was around almost the break-even levels, but that was completely fine because we wanted to get this campaign enough data so that we could eventually start scaling it with proper optimization, and we did not want to rush the process during that time. So essentially, we just let the data come in. We went into the search keyword section. We kept on basically getting rid of any bad keywords. We added any good keywords in, and we made the ad copies better. That was the main goal during this time, to essentially figure out which ad copy variation, which words users like to see, what has the highest CTRs, etc. That's the only reason why our CTRs are so high at this point of time. As you can see, a good search campaign will have CTRs that go way above 5%, 10%, 20% even in some situations. So if we look right here, right now the search ad copies with the highest CTRs is running at 11%, 8%, 12%, so on and so forth. So these are the numbers you want to be aiming at as well. But after around the second week, third week, fourth week is when we started optimizing things, and when we really started just shutting things up which were not working, and the return on ad spend actually started to almost double during that time. It went to 4.17 in November, and then it started to kind of trickle down after Q4 ended, which is for obvious reasons, because the buying intent also starts to go down. But the main kind of strategy which we have been using to scale this brand even into January as of right now is we are basically focusing only on the budgets and the overall keywords for optimization purposes. We are not playing around with the bids because the bidding strategy has already optimized to a very good level at this point of time. If we go on over to campaign settings, we can see that at this point of time, the bidding is so good that we're actually limited by the search volume. So basically, depending on what kind of message you're getting here is how you should be scaling your search campaigns. What we figured out is the 301% bid, because that's kind of the main goal for this brand, is to be above a 3x ROAS. What we found out is this number works perfectly for this brand, where it's able to scale to a good amount every single day and reach its daily budget, but at the same time maintain profitability. This might be completely different for your brand. Your brand might do better at a 2x ROAS or a 500% restriction or anything along those lines. What you need to do is you need to let the campaign run for about 2 to 4 weeks, and then use those numbers that your campaigns are generating back to determine these values. But in addition, you need to have a budget which you focus on increasing every so often, every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, until you get certain messages coming up here. Sometimes it might be limited by search volume, sometimes it could be limited by bidding strategy. Whatever it is, you need to focus based on that. So because we are now limited by search volume, that's the main reason why we're scaling based on the keywords now. We're trying to add bigger and broader keywords to this campaign in the hopes of increasing the search volume, because we have reached such a big portion of the market with the search campaign that is no longer scaling. So to scale search campaigns, you need to not do too many things. Just budgets and essentially search keywords is what you should be focusing on, which is what we are doing right here. But if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go on to my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen.